So moving on to all the ways I can control my experiment. In other words, try to get rid of all the lurking variables. So single blind is one where the subjects don't know which treatment they're getting, because clearly if my subjects knew they were getting a placebo, they probably wouldn't respond to that favorably, and so it would make the new treatment look really good. So I want to make sure that my subjects don't know which treatment they're getting. I call that single blind. Double blind is when neither the subjects nor the personnel working with the subjects knows which treatment they're getting. So in other words, there'd be a person behind the scenes that would make up that list. And for example, let's say I took all the pills and put them in little tiny pill cups, and then I gave them to my research assistant, and I simply had them labeled for who they were to give them to. So the research assistant wouldn't know which pill each of the people was getting, because they would just be following directions for give cup 1 to person number and give cup 2 to person number, and so forth. So that's called double blind. Another method for control is called a matched pairs design. And so I literally take two people, a pair, and I try to make sure that they are very, very similar in terms of their characteristics. It would be like if I could find an identical twin for them, and then one of those people in the pair gets the treatment and one gets the placebo. Now, what typically happens, but it can't happen in every scenario, is that a single person will act as their own matched pair, and instead what I'll do is I'll change the order of the treatments. We're going to do an example of this in class tomorrow. So be ready, statisticians. And then a fourth example for how I might control is something called a block design. And in block design, I actually group my subjects so that they're very similar from the beginning. And then once I do that, so they might be, for example, same age, or same weight, or yeah, a weight would be a good one, especially if I was doing diet pills, because obviously if I have more weight to lose, I don't want to compare that person to a skinny person who didn't have very much to lose. So I would group them all by weight, and then I'll carry out random assignment in each block. So I block first to get the people alike, and then I'll carry out random assignment within the block. And I do this because I want to reduce the variation between the blocks. Very important. And as you can imagine, if I have several hefty people and then some medium-sized people and then some skinny people, I'll reduce the variation, actually not between the blocks, but within. Let's change that to within. Okay, so I want to reduce the variation within the blocks, trying to make the people as similar as possible before I start the experiment. And I do that in part because I know that that particular characteristic is going to affect my outcome. So if I were testing a diet pill, weight would definitely have a bearing on how much weight they actually lost, their beginning weight. So I would want to take that into account when I started